Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thanks for taking the time today to attend our Summon Update and Q&A session. My name is Brent Cook. I'm the Director of Product Management for Summon, and I'll be walking you through some of the recent changes we've made in Summon, as well as some of the things we have planned in the future. Today, our agenda includes highlights of recent improvements from the last few releases, an update on what's happening with OBI, or Oracle Business Intelligence, the analytics system for Summon. I'll review what's outstanding for the Summon roadmap for the second half of 2019. I'll take a few minutes to touch on the Central Discovery Index, or CDI, initiative. We'll talk a little bit about 360 and Toda updates. And then finally, I'll review some community contributions and some ways that you can get involved in making sure Summon's the best possible product it can be. So when we're planning the roadmap each year, we like to think about a few pillars that we like to focus on. We like to make sure that we highlight these things in the features that we do to make sure that we're meeting you and your patrons where you need to be, and making sure that you have the controls and functionality that you need to be successful. That includes search and exploring, which involves the algorithm and other elements used to help you discover the elements that you want or the content that you need. The user experience, what are the controls that we put in the UI, that user interface, that allow you and your patrons to find exactly what they want by driving down based on properties of the results, content type, things like that, as well as navigational elements that let you discover things such as Citation Trail or BX Recommender. We also like to think about library empowerment. What are the tools that you need to make sure that you're being effective? What's the reporting? What are the back-end management tools that can make your workflows easier and more effective? And finally, we like to make sure that we have an open system so that we can have Summon in your discovery layer work not just well with Ex Libris products, but to work well within your larger ecosystem, provide you APIs to tie into existing systems that you have, external systems that you might want to tie into, and then also make sure that we're supporting things like open access. So we've got 4 quarterly releases this year. Our first one on February 16th was launched successfully with a variety of functionality in that. The May release, we are in process right now for that, and we'll go live in production on May 15th. Right now you can go out and see that in the preview environment. All that functionality is live right now if you want to check it out. And again, we'll go live in production on the 15th. Then in August, we have the August 7th release, the first Wednesday of that month, with a lot of good features there. And November will be coming out on November 6th. And for each one of these, there will be a preview environment available 2 weeks prior to that. And then on off months, we will have maintenance releases. If there's anything customer facing for those, I will certainly give you a heads up before those goes live. But ultimately, if you want to go check out any of the functionality 2 weeks prior to the release, we will put it in the preview environment. And as of February, that preview environment is available all the time. So barring some maintenance or periodic updates, at any time you can go out and check out the preview environment and test out functionality on that system. So let's take a moment to talk about some of the recent improvements we put into Summon. In the February release, we added Citation Trail. If you haven't turned this on, again, go out to the preview environment, turn it on, and check it out. It's a way for people to explore related content based on the results themselves. So you can follow citations within a search result to access any articles that were cited by that result, or any places that are cited that cite that content itself. So it gives you a new way to explore and discover texts and follow the pathway to or from a specific article. Within the user interface, if you click on the Cites or Cited By link, that will open up a Cited By tab and provide you a list of results that are related to that initial piece of content, that initial result. As you browse through and explore various citation paths, you can always click on that upper right-hand corner. You can see it in the image on the right, provides you a breadcrumb trail, so you can easily go back to where you started or go revisit any point along your journey in that citation trail. As part of the February release, we also added Oxford University Press content for the Topic Explorer. You can now activate Oxford University Press content for the encyclopedia entry at the top of Topic Explorer if you subscribe to that Oxford University Press packages. In addition, we've put more controls in for you to be able to control what Topic Explorer looks like and how it functions. In particular, in February, we added the ability for you to activate or disable various content sources for that encyclopedia entry, and then to stack rank those as well. So if you want to add Oxford University Press, you can drag it from the disabled to the enabled column, and then you can stack rank it against all the other options such as Credo, Wikipedia, Gale Virtual Reference Library, and others. In addition, as part of some of the Summon release, as well as in the Alma releases, we've been doing some improvements around Summon over Alma. Previously on the service pages, you weren't able to link directly from author or subject to Summon. Now those are hyperlinks, so that if you click on those, they will take you to a Summon search based on the text that is highlighted. In addition, we've added the ability to publish collection level URLs with electronic holdings via Summon and Alma. So now let's take a moment to review what's happening in the May 2019 release. And again, you can check this out right now. This is live in the preview environment. When we put out new features like this during the 2 weeks of the preview, we will turn these on automatically, so you can easily go in and see them in the preview environment. Once they move to production, if you do like these features, you'll need to go in and activate them. We do not copy over the changes you can make in the preview environment to production. So the first feature that we have here is glanceability. It's adding some visual indicators to help patrons better find what they're looking for. In particular, we're highlighting articles as either original research or as analysis of research, and displaying the page length or the length of the article itself. For each of these, so the page length is derived specifically from a field within the metadata. For original research or analysis, we are doing a calculation there, taking a look at options such as is it peer-reviewed or scholarly, the title itself, the subtitle, and subject headings or subject terms in order to identify what type of article this is and if it is a scholarly article. And by doing that, we're able to calculate whether or not it's original research or analysis. While you're testing out this feature, if you do see some of these that you think the label is, you have questions around, or you think it's incorrect, please let us know so we can improve this. This is the basis of the first of many bits of relationships that we're going to start to build around various data within the system, and the more feedback we get, the better we can refine this. Also, as part of the May release, you'll be seeing related items. This is, again, the first of many things we'd like to add as related items to the user interface. This particular release will focus in on books and relating book reviews and chapters to the book itself. So if a book has, or ebook has, reviews or chapters associated with it, the review and chapter link will appear in the result. You can click on that, and then if there's only book reviews or chapters, only a single tab will appear. But if there are both, 2 tabs will appear. It'll default to showing you book reviews, and you can easily click on chapters to see what chapters are associated with that book as well. This association is done through key identifiers like ISSN in order to associate pieces back and forth, as well as taking a look at some title matching. Next, I want to give an update on Oracle Business Intelligence, or OBI. We originally had some OBI work scheduled for the May release as well. Last year at Eluna, I was speaking with several members of Eluna there about reporting and what we needed to do to improve there. We have some work that needs to be done on OBI. Unfortunately, when I went back to the office in Seattle, I saw that we were having some challenges around building out those reports. And we started looking at how we approach OBI overall so that we can be more effective and more efficient and provide you with both the fixes and the improvements you need out of OBI. So previously, we'd managed this through one OBI team for all Ex Libris products. The benefit of this is that it allowed us to do a better job of connecting the dots across products and making sure that The interoperability of reporting was very effective and consistent across any Ex Libris products. The challenge with that is that all requests were prioritized in a single queue, and the time it took to get bug fixes or improvements was taking too long, partially because of the specialized knowledge of OBI resting within the OBI team and not connecting to the other product teams, and for a variety of other reasons. So we took a look at that, and we're restructuring, now moving to a centralized team, from a centralized team to individual product teams. There will still be some people in the central team that make sure that we have that interoperability piece covered, but in addition, we have Summon experts that are now working with OBI. That means that they'll have a better understanding of Summon and how it behaves. It'll give us faster response time for any issues that might come up. It gives us more control over prioritization, and ultimately, it will make sure that our OBI features are done quickly and in a timely manner. So what does this mean for OBI overall? It means that some of the items that we have on the roadmap are delayed. The pieces that we had planned for in the May release are not complete. We're still working on some of that onboarding and learning process and development work around bringing the skills onto the team, and that's taken a little bit longer. So ultimately, those things will be delayed. IEDL reporting for OBI, that was part of the new enhancement request system, or NERS voting for last year as part of Igloo and Eluna. That is scheduled for August, and as of this time, it looks like we are on track to deliver that for August. If for some reason that changes, I will let you know. All of the other OBI reporting, however, we are taking a look at that and reprioritizing that. That includes additional click data, which I'll speak about in a minute, and open access facet reporting. So what's our next steps? While I was at Eluna last week in Atlanta, I met with the analytics working group to look at 13 issues that they had identified as being critical to be solved for OBI, as well as taking a look at the 4 or 5 OBI roadmap items we have for this year. We reviewed those. We're in the process of prioritizing those. Once I have those prioritized, I will publish a revised schedule with delivery of fixes and improvements. And I will continue to meet with that group until we have all those issues resolved. So let's take a look at the second half of 2019 and what we have planned for the roadmap there. As I mentioned, the February release has been completed, adding all these great features. The May release is in process. Glanceability and related items, again, are there. IEDL reporting will be moved to August, and the other reporting will be scheduled after that. For the August release, we have public notes and Summon coming up, which is, again, a NERS voting piece. That is the ability to expose any public notes that you have in your records via Summon, and that will be at a database level. Content ingestion report improvements, that is not part of OBI. That is the automated emails that come out based on your content ingestion process. This will include more complete log files as well as better error reporting. And then integration with Leganto and improved facets are a few other things we'll have in that August release. And then finally, for November, on November 6th, we'll be releasing linked data. We'll be improving how we handle video content to line up with the great work we've been doing in 3.16 and TOTA, and then work on some improvements around topics and open access facet reporting. And again, if we need to shift that reporting, we'll let you know, but for now, it looks like we're on track for that one as well. So let's take a closer look at what we have planned for the August release. First big thing coming out in August will be improved facets. This will enhance the user experience overall. It will give you the ability to control the look and feel of the facets, change the order of these facets, determine which are included or which are collapsed or expanded by default. And again, this was part of the new enhancement request system, or NERS, voted on last year by you, the members of Igloo and Eluna. We're also working in integration with Leganto, so if you use the Leganto course reading list solution, you will be able to use Summon as well. It will do a seamless integration with Summon, including creation and management of reading lists, and then the delivery of results via Summon, and that is on track for the August release. IEDL reporting, again, we had to shift this from May to August, and the idea here is to report on the entire click path for Summon results to the content. So to see where people are leaving Summon and going to the content and how they're accessing that. And that is currently slated for August. And again, as I mentioned earlier, we have a variety of other OBI click data that we'd like to include. That includes click data on things like Topic Explorer, Best Bets, Database Recommender, and other features within the search results so that you can ultimately look at what people are doing on the user interface, follow where they're going via the various paths that they take, and optimize both your support material and training and the site itself to meet your users where they need to go. Next, let's talk a little bit about what's planned for the November release. One of the bigger features coming out of that one will be linked data. I like to talk about this one and about how the back end is really the biggest bang for our buck that we're going to get out of this feature. Making those links within the data to create these relationships is the biggest piece to build out of it. Our first feature that we will roll out with this is to look at schema.org and Google in particular and how we can optimize our your site for inclusion in indexing via search engines. But again, in the background, the biggest piece of this will be starting to use unique identifiers and other elements to create relationships between the data that allow us to create features such as this. And you'll see a lot more of that as CDI rolls out as well. For November, we also have planned some video improvements. We, in the first quarter of this year, did some great improvements to 360 and the knowledge base and in Toto on the back end to better manage video. Come November, we will be doing a better job of presenting that video content within the Summon result set. That means better display of metadata, exposure of facets related to that metadata, and a display of thumbnails for video content. In November, we'll also be doing some work on topics. In particular, we're going to be taking a look at the algorithm, which currently is specifically a match around words and phrases. We're looking at how to improve that to increase both the number of topics and the frequency with which they match, but also the accuracy, and working particularly with the intent to reduce bias and ensure that users are getting the content that they want based on the searches that they do. We're also taking a look at how to automate updating of the content within the encyclopedia entries and other ways to improve topics overall. Finally, let's talk about open access reporting. In November, we have scheduled the ability to report on use of open access content, and in particular, provide reporting on the number of searches where the open access facet is applied, so that you should be able to see how much your users are targeting open access content in their searches. And that's it for the roadmap for the second half of 2019. For Summon, now let's take a moment and look at the Summon and CDI and what the Central Discovery Index means for you. So if you haven't heard of CDI, or the Central Discovery Index project yet, this is the idea of a unified index for both Primo and Summon. For the past few years, we've shared a content ingestion process, but at the very last step, the content either goes into Summon or heads over to the Primo Central Index. Moving forward, as we roll this out, it will become one index for all this content. What does that mean for you? The idea is to make it a comprehensive and scalable solution that is future ready. So that means faster ingest and updates and better quality data. That means the ability to build smart services based on contextual relations on top of this platform. And it's really looking at how do we make data intelligence a core part of our discovery system. So what does that mean? Ultimately, we have this huge ocean of big data in front of us. The index today is around 3.5 billion records. It's actually more than that. And that's a whole lot of colored dots in that ocean. So how do we make sense of that? In the past, we've really focused in on the use of search terms and facets and things like that to really hone in on and discover what you want. So for example, someone searches on chocolate and health, you might get an article like the one in the middle of the screen there. And to make sure we're doing a better job of serving up results, what we could really do is start to take a look at that data and make connections that we can then respond to the query based on those connections. So what does that look like? First, we can classify the data, start to look for patterns and see how we can group like data together. Next, we can start to look at the relationships between those bits of data. So for example, what are citing or cited by relationships as you see in Citation Trail now? What about connecting topics around the article as you see Topic Explorer show up today? Taking a look at what's used with what. So a person who looked at this content also looked at that content. Some of the backend functionality that feeds database, or excuse me, BX Recommender, and other things like association within the same journal issue, connections between research data that's used, connecting documents via the same author. All of these relationships we can start to form in the background, and this is central to CDI. But it gets even better, because then you can start to build the relationships between those groups. And through making those connections, both within the groups and across those groups, we can create intelligent discovery experiences. So no longer are you just relying on a single algorithm to take a look at a keyword or phrase and return results, but you have other ways to bring this data together and make your experience more powerful for your end user. This is fundamentally the promise of CDI, the Central Discovery Index, and is part of what you should expect as we roll this out. But that's just scratching the surface. If you'd like to know more about CDI and what it means and how it's going to affect you, you can attend one of our webinars on May 29th. There are a couple of different times listed here to hopefully cover the world and give you a chance to attend one of these. There's an 8 a.m. Berlin or early in the morning on that Wednesday, and then another one at 8 a.m. San Francisco time, so that we can hopefully blanket the whole world. You can register at bit.ly/xlibris-content-webinars. And again, if you can't make one of these, please sign up anyway, because we will be sending out a notification after the webinar is over and a link to a recording of those webinars. So again, if you're curious about CDI and learning more and asking questions, you can register at bit.ly/xlibris-content-webinars. Okay, let's talk a little bit about 360 and Entoda and what we've got updated for them. We also released our first quarterly release in February, and that was a success. We have our next one planned for May 15th and 16th, one coming on the August 7th and 9th, and then one coming at the beginning of November, November 6th and 7th. These are coordinated with the Summon quarterly releases and include a variety of initiative projects and enhancements. That includes improvements for streaming video titles, Ulrich's web integration with Sherpa and Romeo, Counter R5 support, KBARD improvements, and expanded integration with ProQuest eBook Central. One of the things that we released in the February release was streaming video management. We added support for streaming video titles as part of that release. The content operations team continues to onboard providers and will do so throughout this year to expand how much video you can manage in the back end there. The next phases of this project, and it will be ongoing throughout 2019, is management report integration, adding discovery rights integration, normalization for 360 mark updates, and UI refinements for the eJournal portal, so user interface refinements there, and overlap analysis improvements. So what can you expect this month as part of the May 2019 release? So there are a few new services that we'll be adding here. One is Tracked Videos Report and Management Report Suite. Videos are now included in the database details report as well. In addition, we're doing some work around user account privileges. This will now allow only authorized users to view personal details in the View Change or View Recent Updates feature. We've also added a lot of updates to linkers for American Physical Society, Hein Online, Geoscience World, and CREDA. And then there are over 100 fixes for 360 and Entoda overall. And I'll just touch on some of those a little bit here. So the management reports, as I mentioned, you can now go into the management reports and see what tracked videos you have there. Run that report and it will show you the video holdings that you have. For user account permissions, we've added in the ability to change those on a user basis. And by going in, you can easily go in and edit on the display full details in view piece, edit that and change it so that you can limit who and what can see what are the changes that have been made in your backend. And then finally, as I mentioned, there's over 100 fixes between 360 Link, Entoda, Ulrich's Web, and the eJournal portal. I won't go through all 100 in this meeting today, but just to give you a highlight of some of the things, for 360 Link, we've updated the linkers, as I just mentioned. We've disabled circular linking when that occurs. We've addressed an issue with referring URLs failing. We've done some work to accommodate PMID embargo numeric months and to support script numbers, and support subscript numbers as well. For the eJournal portal, we've restored the peer review limiter. We've made some improvements to the custom text displaying by default. We've fixed some issues with one-word searches failing. We've disabled cross-site scripting vulnerability to provide more security. And we've resolved an issue with EBC titles not appearing. For Entoda, we changed it so that HTML tags in notes will not be encoded. We've worked on the resource renewal checklist to show up to address outdated information. We've also addressed issues with notification emails not showing up and with the counter report summary pages not loading. Finally, for Ulrich's Web, we've done some improvements with the admin console so that it's accessible from Entoda. We fixed an issue with scheduling reports and with the Ulrich's email and with the downloads not working. And again, this is just a sampling of the over 100 fixes that we've put into these systems. Please refer to your release notes for more details. Finally, I'd like to talk a little bit about community contributions. So what have you done and how can you get involved in Summit overall? As I referred to earlier, there are a couple of focus groups and working groups that I'm working with right now as part of Eluna and Igloo. While I was at Eluna last week in Atlanta, I was able to meet with a variety of people to talk about Database Recommender and Topic Explorer. There's a focus group dedicated to that work. Our charter right now is to review current behavior and outstanding requests for these various features and provide input on when, where, and how we can address these. And this ranges from better management of these features on the back end to ensuring that we have no issues with bias or inappropriate matches happening in the user interface. In addition, I did meet recently with the Analytics Working Group. Again, they have defined and prioritized a list of outstanding issues that we need to address with OBI, and we will be working closely together with the SOMAN Working Group to ensure that entire backlog gets addressed and that we are communicating progress on a regular basis. So thank you so much for everyone who's participating in those groups and for the contributions that you're giving to the product. In addition, I want to give you a heads up that this year's NERS system voting is coming up. So the new enhancement request system, this is run again by Igloo and Eluna. We this year, as we did last year, have pulled items that you have posted within the Idea Exchange as ballot possibilities for these new features. Myself and the NERS working group will be going through those Idea Exchange items and have been going through those Idea Exchange items, assessing them for feasibility, grouping like things together so that we can ultimately have a list of features that you can vote on that we can deliver and that will meet your needs as you've defined them. So please participate in this. Once we have that list finalized, we will send out announcements for the voting process, and please get in there and vote because your vote counts.